the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. Want to talk about a wide receiver battle that's going to be happening at training camp between Danny Gray, who played for the 49ers in 2022, and the upstart, the new incoming rookie Ronnie Bell out of Michigan, the 49ers' 7th round pick. And one of the reasons I think this is a battle is how many roster spots can the 49ers actually allocate to the wide receiver position? Can it be 5 like last year? Can it be 6, the addition of Ronnie Bell? That's a big question mark. How many guys are going to actually make this 49ers roster? There's talent everywhere. Can the 49ers allow to keep one of these guys maybe as a 6th spot when you could give it to a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman or a secondary piece that you just don't want to lose? It makes this a real battle. And this is an absolute contrast in styles. These two players are distinctly different, and they could have been drafted for different reasons as well. Number one, Danny Gray was drafted in the 3rd round of 2022, and he's an absolute speedster. He's a 4.3 and a low 4.3 guy. The speed is off the charts. A lot of people believe Danny Gray was drafted to pair with Trey Lance because of his vertical threat to go with Trey Lance's big-time arm. They could be right. That could have been the main reason and thought process behind bringing in a guy like Danny Gray. Couple him with Trey Lance, and maybe they'll have a huge connection. And last year during the preseason, they already showed what they could do, hitting and connecting on long play down the field. But besides that, Danny Gray really didn't do a lot on offense in 2022. Had 1 catch, he had 1 run, not a lot for Danny Gray as far as offensive production. So he's basically coming in on a similar slate as Ronnie Bell as far as production. The advantages that he has are mainly in the fact that he already knows this offense. He went through an entire year. He got to see Debo do it, Brandon Ayuk do it, Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod. He got to see how they all operate within this offense and then how it's coached as well. So Danny Gray has an advantage in that area. Danny Gray has an advantage in speed. That can't be argued at all. Ronnie Bell coming in out of Michigan, though, might have better hands. That's one thing that we've definitely seen through film, but also we've heard through OTAs and minicamp that Bell was out there catching almost anything. Of course, there was one day where he struggled a little bit, but for the most part, he's played at a pretty high level so far. Things definitely change when you get into training camp. You're going to start getting, at first, your shirt and shorts. You don't have to worry about it, but eventually, there's someone as a heat-seeking missile ready to detach you from the football. You have to worry about Hufanga and Gibson and the hyena, Diamaro Lenore, catching you over the middle and laying you out. So it does change as far as who has alligator arms and is not going to reach out and catch that football and who will. Do I think Ronnie Bell is afraid of contact? No. Do I think he's still going to make contested catches over the middle? Yes. Part of the reason that I think this is an interesting one is because if the 49ers are electing to go with Brock Purdy as quarterback 1, the thought process would be, hey, Ronnie Bell's a guy that can go over the middle, catch the football, be a possession-type receiver. That should be something that fits better with Brock. I argue that's not primarily the case, though. Even though Ronnie Bell is a very solid wide receiver, I think he fits with anyone, whether that's Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. With Danny Gray, I don't think he doesn't fit with what Brock Purdy does or with what Trey Lance does. I think he could play with either one or Sam Darnold. The reason is I haven't pigeonholed Danny Gray into just a vertical threat. I watched his SMU film. If you go back, you can listen to me talk about his draft status. I was a huge fan of Danny Gray. When people were talking about him being a 6th-round pick, I put him in the 3rd. And that's where the 49ers took him. And I think the reason I saw that was the run after the catch ability. he's got a lot of yak potential. He can catch a ball over the middle and take it to the house. Right now, the 49ers do have a couple of guys that can do that, one of them being Deebo Samuel. But I think Danny Gray could add an aspect to this roster that maybe we haven't seen. Of course, the vertical threat is also nice. And yes, Brock Purdy can still get him the football over the top. I'm not worried about him going over the top and hitting a vertical pass to Danny Gray because it's not about chucking the ball 50 yards. You're going to know whether the guy is open way before that. You're going to throw it ahead of time. So anticipation, proper route running the route against a certain defense is going to give you the opportunity for those vertical threats. So is Trey Lance got the bigger arm? Sam Darnold got the bigger arm and could potentially get the ball down the field to Danny Gray easier? Yes. But if you understand the offense and understand what you're looking at, you can get the football out in those windows. It's not all about bombs. It's about finding those windows against certain defenses. So if it's a cover 2, it's behind the corner and in front of that safety. And if you can get the ball there with Danny Gray one-on-one with the safety, you got to believe you have a chance. So what are things that Ronnie Bell can do to beat out Danny Gray, who's an incumbent? Well, first off, catch everything. It better be like a hold to you. You know, you're the only one catching it. You're the only one coming down with it. The old Clifford Franklin type thing. Because you've got to make sure you are catching all the footballs. Because it's tough for Kyle Shanahan on rookie wide receivers as it is, let alone a rookie wide receiver who drops the football. Ask Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings in 2020 dropped a lot of footballs in camp and ended up on the 49ers practice squad. Yeah, they liked him. He's very talented, but that's what happens when you drop the football in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Kyle is hard on rookie wide receivers. He's hard on wide receivers in general, but especially rookies. So Ronnie Bell has to make sure he catches everything. Another thing Ronnie Bell has to do is something he struggled a little bit in college doing, and that was sitting down in a zone. A lot of times Ronnie Bell would run through some of the zones and not sit where he was supposed to sit, and then he would actually put himself into coverage. So that's something that he needs to develop, but is definitely something he will learn very quickly playing in this offense. I think that's something he can handle. It's just something we have to see him handle. So that's another area that Ronnie Bell is going to have to be successful. Another thing I think he's going to have to do is he was able to create separation and get vertical when he played for Michigan. Even though he's not fast at all, but he was still able to be a vertical threat. If that continues in the NFL, he can carve himself out a nice role because we know getting vertical, being able to create separation is not all predicated on speed. Jawan Jennings is one of the most unique route runners on the entire 49ers team and constantly sets up a nice separation for him to be able to get open and catch footballs. That's what Ronnie Bell is going to have to do. That's why most think that the battle's between Jennings and Bell and not Danny Gray and Bell. But I don't think it's a real competition with Jawan Jennings. Number one, Jawan Jennings is still cheap right now in 2023. Yeah, they could have to make a decision in the offseason with him being a restricted free agent, but third and Jawan's a real thing. And I don't think Ronnie Bell's going to be able to create the type of plays that Jawan Jennings has been able to do in his rookie season. Nothing against Bell. I think he's a nice, talented player, but I just see Jawan Jennings. He's 6'2.5". He's bigger than Bell. He's a better run blocker than Bell. He's more physical than Bell. So that's why that can't be a real competition. When you're looking at the roster, it has to come down to who that fifth wide receiver is. Ayuk and Debo are 1A and 1B. Jawan Jennings is 3. Ray McLeod is 4. And Ray had some big plays coming down the stretch last year, not to mention he's your returner. So it's Danny Gray versus Ronnie Bell. And it's going to be who can consistently get it done better. If Ronnie Bell continues to illustrate he's got great hands, Danny Gray has to illustrate he has great hands. So how does Danny Gray beat out Ronnie Bell? Makes an impact. Every time he has an opportunity with space, you better make something happen with it. Yak attack all day. When you get an opportunity to run the football, make sure you do it big time. You have the speed. Danny Gray also has to prove that he knows where he's supposed to line up. That has been a problem for 49ers wide receivers throughout the years. Brandon Ayuk maybe lined up a little bit wrong a couple of times. Last year was Danny Gray. Will it be Ronnie Bell? I don't know. His dad's a coach, so maybe he'll be farther along on understanding this offense and understanding where he's supposed to line up. I think he will. I have a lot of faith in this coaching staff and in these players that the 49ers have brought in. All the while, Danny Gray has got to make sure he just knows what he's doing. And if he does, there's something about 4.3 speed that makes you want to hold on to it. That threat of being able to beat anyone at any time. Oh, we're running play action, and you want to come up on the run? Good luck. Danny Gray is one-on-one with your safety now in the open field. That type of threat is something Kyle Shanahan has wanted on this team since he first got here in 2017. He had Marquise Goodwin. He's brought in others to see what they could possibly do. A guy like Travis Benjamin. He even brought in Kevin White. He's been looking for it. Now there's another guy on the roster as well that's got that kind of speed in Chris Conley, but it's a different type of speed. Where Danny Gray can catch the football on the move, never lose any sort of rhythm and just keep running. Conley, if he slows down any, it's hard for him to get going again. So he's a different player than Danny Gray. So who do I think wins this battle? I think Danny Gray does. I think Gray's potential to catch the ball vertically is what everyone sees. But I think I see a guy who can run more of the route tree than a lot. And I think his dynamic ability to catch the ball in space over the middle and get vertical is huge. Plus, when you have the ability to go vertical, you can cut off routes deeper down the field. And so you can get some deep in cuts that could potentially produce a lot of big time yardage. People respect speed in this league, as long as you make them respect it. I think Danny Gray's going to have to make this team respect him and his abilities. But he's got the know-how playing in the system and understanding. I think Ronnie Bell still has a shot to make this team, but I think it's all predicated on how other position players at other positions play. You have to keep people at other positions. It might be tough to keep Bell. Could the 49ers get him to the practice squad? Potentially. But I think he's going to have to play really well, and he's going to have to try to force the 49ers' hand. Play well in practice, play well in the preseason. You may find yourself on the 49ers active 53-man roster. But I think they kept 5 last year. I think they keep the same 5 this year. That means Ronnie Bell's potential practice squad player for the San Francisco 49ers in 2023. But I like both players. I just hope Danny Gray tears it up. The dude's spectacular. That speed would be an added bonus to this 49ers roster. And I think Kyle Shanahan could really use his skills in a big-time way. Thank you so much for watching the episode. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already on the push for 4K. Training camp is just around the corner. Can't wait for all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay safe and remember the right way is always the 49ers way.